Canning here, bodybuildingpro.com. We are here at the 2012 Mr. Olympia Expo in Las Vegas, Nevada, here at the Universal booth. I'm here with top amateur bodybuilder Brad Rowe. Has done very well lately. The last time I talked to him would have been the 2012 Arnold Classic, but he's about to compete again soon, so I wanted to ask how he's doing. So Brad, tell me a little bit about your most recent contest. We can start with the North Americas and the USAs. Those would be the two relevant ones.
Yeah.
You placed third at the Nationals last year, so I thought that you were maybe going to possibly win those shows, because to be top 3 at the most competitive show, like, who knows? That you're slated basically to turn pro. But that's not how it worked out for you, so tell us a little bit about that.
No, not at all. And I don't buy into the whole, just because you placed at one show so well, you're going to place the next one. You're still going to do your work. You still have the competitors that are going to come out at their best. So I didn't buy into that. I just worked my ass off, did what I had to do to get ready for USAs. It was kind of tough. I had put on a little more size than expected in the off season. And coming into USAs, I was 238 at 4 days out. Really tried to deplete down. I was on, 2.5 hours of cardio for 3 weeks, doing 90 grams of carbs, really no added fats. And then, we had to cut water in order to make the heavies. And I just flattened out so much. And once you get dehydrated, it's near impossible to fill back out. So cut sodium, and, it was horrible. So I stepped on stage pretty flat. I mean, I was waiting at 225 on the dot. I probably only filled back out to 228 by show day. So no matter how much I ate, I just couldn't pack it back on. So I ended up getting, I believe, 8th at USA's. A little frustrating, after coming off the third and looking as good as I did a week out from the show. So kind of jumped back on the horse, and 5 weeks later did North Americans. I dieted my ass off a little longer, sacrificed some muscle. So when I came in, I was 228 5 days out from the show, really hard, full, dry. So I had a much better look, closer to weight, made weight really easy without having to cut water or anything like that. And our goal was just to coast in. That was the goal that we had set with my dietitian the week out. Just going to coast, do a light carb up, not mess with sodium, anything like that, cut water the night before the show, no crazy diuretics, anything like that. And right after weigh-ins, I had a couple normal meals, and he decides that he wants to do some cheat meals. So, he had me go down and get some waffles and some pastries. And then later that night, it was pizza and breadsticks. And in the morning, he had me wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to IHOP and junk load. It ended up being 7 junk loads in a 20-hour period. Totally screwed up my digestive system. I was constipated, bloated, held water. It was just a mess, and I looked like shit on stage. I was lucky enough to pull off a 7th place. Later that day, I finally had a little bit of relief in my stomach, but I was still a little holding water. So I looked much better at the night show, but not even enough to really move my placing at all. So at this point, it was time to move in a different direction. And so I ended up hiring Chris Aceto to do my prep for Nationals. It's a business decision. Had to part ways with the other guy. He's had 3 shots last year's Nationals. Even though I did well, I could have been a lot drier on stage. And, at USA's and North Americans, there were 2 big goof-ups. So I started working with Chris. I believe it's been 4 weeks now. Completely different approach. We're doing, jack my carbs up to double what I was taking, dump my fats down. My cardio is pretty much next to nothing, staying lean, if not leaning out even more. So I'm really happy with how things are going. We got 6 more weeks to go. And, it's tough to go with someone else in such a short period of time. But Chris has been around the game forever, and, he's dealt with hundreds of different types of body, types. So, I really trust him. And, I think he can get me on stage looking how I need to hopefully at least place top 3 again.
Well, what's it like to bounce around? Well, not that you've really exactly bounced around, but one thing that if you stay with a coach, they're going to get to know your body. So to change coaches, it's sort of a risk that new coach won't really understand you quite yet because it takes some time. So how do you feel about that?
It is, and that was kind of the things that came into consideration. I'd actually considered changing dietitians right after USA's, but with that 5-week period, that's next to, it's near impossible. I could do my own diet, and I trust myself enough to get myself on stage, but being with someone like Chris Aceto, he's been around the game forever. Like I said, he's got an old school approach to things, so it's not a lot of voodoo science.
No drastic last minute.
Drastic. He's very attentive. Gives me a lot more attention than I ever thought I'd be getting. It's email, text every day, photos every other day, weight every day. He's made no changes to my diet whatsoever, which has been great. But I trust him. Chris Cormier, he had done his diet back in the day, and he's got that same old school mentality of, you eat a certain amount of calories, you work your ass off in the gym, and at the end of things, you let a little bit of cardio take care of it. So before I was doing 2.5 hours of cardio a day, really getting burnt out. My adrenal systems are all screwed up. So, with this, it's one cardio session a week for the most part. Maybe I'll throw in another one. And my body's just able to recover, and I'm able to train harder right now. My muscles getting denser, and I'm happy with the progress. My weight staying pretty consistent.
So, speaking of your physique, like you're a big bodybuilder, not because like you have a big waist or anything. You just have a big frame, big guy. Are you going to compete next as a very heavyweight, or would you prefer to compete as a lighter, smaller, super heavyweight?
That's kind of what I'm letting Aceto and Cormier figure out. I would look my best on stage 242. I'm waking up in mornings right now like 238, midday I'm 245. So I think a bigger weight for me is great, but I think competitively I'll do better as a heavyweight. My problem is when I diet down, I lose my chest and my arms. So that's why he's kind of taking a slow approach where I'm not so overly depleted in my upper body when it comes to hitting stage, that I lose everything. So really, we probably get another 3 weeks of dieting before they make a decision on what direction I'm going to go in. And it's either fill me out a little more or shrink me down a little more. And, I trust their opinion, and I'm going to go either way.
You're telling the truth about flattening in the upper body. Like, you have so much legs. You could lose legs, instead you lose it in the upper body. It's quite funny. But speaking of weight, you also do a little bit of modeling yourself, and you're a good-looking guy. You have that going on for you. Do you think that as you get bigger and bigger that you'll sort of lose maybe a bit of appeal with certain fans, maybe in exchange for others? But is it really your goal to be a bodybuilder? Because I know you're a little bit of both right now, so how do you feel about that?
My goal is to be a bodybuilder. When I first got into it, I was doing the fitness modeling thing, and even then I was on the cusp. When I was 220,
big for a model.
I was too big for a model, too small for a bodybuilder. So I'd go to castings and stuff, and I'm kind of in the middle. So I think the bigger I get, then I get into more of the MD and the flex and the muscle mag type shoots, which I'm starting to do a lot more now of. And then there's more type casting for commercials for bigger bodybuilders. So I'd have to get down under 210 to really do the modeling type thing. And that's just not a direction I want to go. I mean, I love bodybuilding. I love the challenge of it. I love the diet. Love the training. I love the art of it, of changing your body, adding a little here, taking off a little there. So it's just, I have such a passion for bodybuilding that I can really give two shits about the modeling at this point. My focus is on bodybuilding, and, if shoots come up, I've turned down a bunch lately just because I am so focused on my prep. I was telling you before that, to get ready for a shoot, it's 2 days of carb depletion, then you're cutting water for the shoot, then it's another day and a half to 2 days to recover. So it's a 4 or 5 days, of taking away from 100% of your prep just to do a shoot, to be in a magazine. Half time they don't have your name in it. So, it's right now my focus is on, hopefully getting this pro card and taking things from there.
So do you have any final words to say to the fans, Brad?
I just want to say, thank you for guys that have supported me and followed me through my career, and hopefully I won't disappoint you coming up at Nationals. I got a lot of things going on. If you guys are interested in training dietitian work, if you're in the LA area, I have a meal prep service that I'm doing now. I've had one of my competitors turn pro this summer off meals that she ate from 14 weeks out to the day she hit the stage. So it's nice, clean products, and that's another reason why I want to get my pro card and get this over with so I can focus on my business next year. Take some time to grow and create a career for myself instead of just hoping that bodybuilding would fall in place.
Well, I think Brad's looking great here today. Last at the Arnold he was covered up, so I didn't quite see, but he looks awesome here right now. So everyone, here we are, 2012 Mr. Olympia in Las Vegas, Nevada, here at the Universal booth with Brad Rowe. Thanks, Brad.
All right, thank you very much.